Last time on the Cartographer, Dashie ruthlessly killed a shell-shocked marine who pulled a brief but awesome T-pose on his way out. 00 did absolutely nothing to help him and just watched. In this episode, 00... well, you already know what 00 does. Dashie cheats 00 out of winning a race to the index, and together they uncover some mysteries about the library that justify why it is called the library. Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. Nah, it's a bit dark, that.
Yeah.
Hey everyone,
just a little
welcome back to Installation 00 and the Cartographer. Obviously I'm 00 and I've got Dashie here with me as well.
That's me.
As I'm sure
Hi.
you're familiar.
Hey guys.
And yes, this is the library. The dreaded library. The library that everybody hates to fight around in, especially in Legendary, which...
Yeah, everyone loves to hate.
Yeah, mercifully we're not doing in Legendary, so, you know. But nevertheless, I can't hear anything, because I turned my audio off for that present you gave me.
Oh, I apologise.
There we go, that's better, I can hear now.
Hey.
It's just a case of turning me knob. Well, why did you spawn with a shotgun?
Welcome back to Innuendo 00.
Have you got a shotgun?
Yeah, do you want a shotgun?
How did you spawn with a shotgun?
I'm obviously player 1. Like, the game's just defaulted me to be player 1 for some reason.
Okay. Is that why all the Marines follow you all the time?
I think it might be, yeah. It's random, though.
They're gluttons for punishment. They want you to kill them.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. Welcome everyone to the... just possibly one of the worst places in the galaxy. Yeah, so we're going to be looking through this level. We're going to talk a bit about the environment. Obviously, a talk on that will be a little bit scarce in terms of information, just purely because it's the same 4 walls. But there will be an extremely heavy focus on the flood, as well as the purpose of the library and some other little tidbits about the setting of the mission.
Indeed. At the moment, we're just trying to get through the hordes of squishy boys.
You say at the moment, this is about to be a 40-minute moment.
Yeah. I want your ammo.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Lovely.
Okay, and my microphone isn't picking up my game audio. Tight. Okay, so, in the middle of this giant chasm, it's not really a chasm. Yeah, it's a chasm. Sod it. Is the activation index. Now, for people who are unaware, the library is built with the intent of, or the intention of indexing every species to exist in the galaxy or universe, which I'm assuming galaxy.
Galaxy, yeah.
Galaxy, yeah.
The flood weren't quite as... Oh, no. Oh, no, me shotgun.
I'll go pick up a different gun. Here you go.
That's alright.
Teamwork.
Thanks. I just wanted to look down, that's all, but evidently it's too much of an angle.
If you're going to stand near an edge, your best bet is to switch to classic so you can see where the actual floor ends.
Yeah, I did.
And you still fell.
Yeah.
Pog. So, go away. Yeah, so that's what the purpose of the library is. Did you nearly fall down again?
Nearly.
So that's what the purpose of the library is. Yeah.
We were talking just before we started this up that it's a very peculiar place to consider that the library is meant to index species for the conservation measure by the life workers, and yet they also decided this was an appropriate place to keep the key that fires the superweapon.
So, yeah,
those two things wouldn't normally go together. But then I suppose the Halo is a massive confliction of terms in that regard, isn't it? You know, it's both the conservation measure and a giant galaxy-destroying superweapon. Actually,
I'd like to take this time as well. So, for people who aren't aware, we read every comment that goes up. I'd love to, I'm sure Installation would as well, we'd love to see what you guys think the reason the index being in the middle of the library is. Because logically it makes no sense. Why would they put the thing that's meant to destroy the universe in the middle of a library? It's like putting the nuclear launch facility like in the middle of a library in London. It logically just doesn't make sense. So if you've got any ideas, please tell us.
You'd consider it a relatively massive security breach because you've got to consider, okay, at the moment there are flood in this facility, but if there weren't flood in this facility and it was just they were indexing species and the Forerunners were still alive, there would be species indexed in this building that could potentially go up through the levels. In particular, I'm thinking ancient humanity. There could be like some reckless ancient humans that would be able to access the lift at the very top of the library, descend all the way down and grab the key. Then you've got these reckless ancient humans running around with the key to firing a halo when they shouldn't have it. It just seems a really peculiar place to have the key that fires the gun.
I mean, unless the logic behind it is the last place they're gonna look is the one place you really should not keep it. Which I suppose could make sense. But it just seems so backwards, especially considering the ideologies and the sheer brilliance of Forerunners, and what they are very much capable of designing. Okay, that's an interesting angle you've got there. But yeah, it just seems to contradict everything that we sort of think about the Forerunners. Hang on a minute, this texture isn't lined up properly. 1 out of 10, literally unplayable.
What do you mean it isn't lined up properly?
And remastered.
Oh.
You see that, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's ruined everything.
Game over.
Game over. Have we gone all the way round?
We came out that door there.
Yeah, we went all the way round.
We did, yeah.
The wrong way, because
that one revived.
We're cool like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I blasted his head off. Sorry, dude. Yeah, there it is, just there.
Oh, alas, poor Yorick. That's a double layered one, actually. I'm pretty sure that's an achievement as well. Ooh, shotgun! No, it's gone. There it is. I got shotgun. So yeah, I do think the flood continually spawned this level, but that's fine. We're playing on easy, so we shouldn't get overwhelmed. Which gives us a bit more time to sort of...
Before we get shit in the comments of playing on easy, we're playing on easy just so we can still talk and tell the story without getting overwhelmed by the gameplay and getting that into it, that shit gets real.
Yeah.
Just stop talking.
Yeah, because the idea is we want to focus on the level, and if we play on a harder difficulty, we're just doing the same thing every normal playthrough would do, which is focus on the game. And obviously the idea behind this series is to, in case you hadn't figured it out by this episode, for some reason, is to focus on the level and the environments and all the stuff that you miss when you're doing what we are being moaned at for not doing. So, let's see. What do we got in here? We get these massive vents that serve no purpose other than to be spawn points for the flood.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine they're probably either ventilation, because there is stuff coming down it, like steam. Well, that'd be frost, steam rises. I think that's all the things that come out of it. So the only purpose could be for like sentinels, and obviously for Spark as well.
Well, you got to bear in mind the purpose of the building. Obviously, it's a library. It's meant to index species, so they've got to have systems and mechanisms in place that are so powerful and so complex. They do need ventilation. I mean, there's likely going to be some degree of environment control in the building. There's going to be extremely sophisticated like stasis technology. There's probably even like unseen, at least in the it stands to reason with the way the Forerunners work, unseen slip space manipulation fields and things like that are all going on inside this building. So they're going to need various additional and peripheral systems to help deal with all of that.
Exactly. Now, I'm not very good at science, so how would you define stasis to me? What is the purpose of stasis? And from my understanding, it just freezes stuff
Yeah,
Not
so
like cold freezes, but like not like cryogenic sleep either.
No. So yeah, stasis in human terms, yeah, I would say is cryogenics, or if the person's awake and conscious, stasis is just a way of like stopping someone from moving, like a stasis field, which basically just means to remain stationary. That probably same applies for the Covenant, but for the Forerunners, it's a very different situation altogether. The Forerunners had exquisite control over slip space. They understood the 11 dimensions of slip space, and had been able to travel to them. So if you didn't know, the slip space that we're accustomed to in regards to the law is only one of the dimensions of slip space. There are actually 11.
That we know of.
That we know of, yeah, sorry.
Should we go the opposite way? Everyone goes that way. There's big arrows on the floor and remastered. Let's go this way.
So, so they have exquisite control over slip space and understood all the different dimensions of slip space. So they were able to engineer and control slip space to such a degree that they could effectively... Stasis for them meant they could put whatever it is that they wanted to put into stasis into a bubble of slip space that existed outside of time and space, which meant that whatever was contained within it did not age, does not feel the passage of time, and is nearly indestructible to practically everything in the normal dimensions of space. The Foreigners actually managed to do that, or they had a form of stasis pod that members of the Spartan 3s, I think it was Team Katana, I think. I might have to double check on that, but I think it was Katana, but it was on Onyx, and there was a Spartan 3 team that effectively went missing, and they were found inside Forerunner stasis pods, and Halsey explained that although they looked visibly like they were right there, you could detonate a nuke directly on the top of them and they would be perfectly fine, because they exist outside of the dimensions of normal space, which meant that...
Sorry, you walked in the way of that, sorry.
It's alright. Which meant that that the force and damage that a nuclear explosion would cause in normal space did not apply to them. So stasis for the Forerunners is, a completely different way of putting something into stasis. Literally putting them into a bubble of reality that exists outside of time and space.
Okay, over here in Remastered specifically, we have what looks to be the library, actually, displayed up there.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like hell, so it must be the library, right?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. So there's loads of little, like, almost like smaller glyphs almost leading up to it, so I don't know if that's maybe different subsystems?
It could be. Now, for people with a keen eye, they will have noticed that these glyphs I say glyphs, I need to stop using that word, but these decals are sort of used elsewhere in the game. Yeah, the little holographic displays are used elsewhere in the game as well. So there are elements of that are taken from Covenant displays. And human displays as well. Well, not human, but some displays. And so, when you look at this here, it looks like it could be something, but I don't know, maybe it's not. Although, Spock does say this is the first portal of 10, and there are 10 of these. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So, it could be that this is some form of representation, or it could just be blind look.
Representation of the levels, perhaps, yeah.
Yeah,
1,
or it could
2,
just be blind
3,
look.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, possibly. Good
Yeah.
shout. Good shout, that man.
Yeah. You guys proud of me?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yay, thank you. Oh, don't shoot this glass, by the way. The flood underneath it. And also, you can fall through it.
See, this
turn around. Look out, look out, look out. You're going to end up falling down. No, you jump towards them.
It interests me that there are flood beneath it, and yet there's glass in place, and there seems to be no other way in or out down there.
I mean, the flood find their way in wherever the hell the flood feel like finding their way in.
Yeah. Just, interesting. See, that's another thing that I find interesting, is that at least by suggestion, sentient species aren't the only species that are contained within the library. So
when you say sentient, so I'm assuming you mean like you're implying the trees are here as well.
No. normal living, feeling species are indexed in the library, but on top of that, also the flood, because I wouldn't normally define the flood in their base form as being sentient.
Yeah, that's true.
In their base form, they are a parasite. It's just that the ever-growing complexity of the parasitic nature. Eventually, see, this would have been a really clever place to put a terminal.
Yeah, but I mean, why would they put it at the beginning? Then then you can just come in, get this, and go. They put it at the end for a reason.
Yeah, but we know that each floor is kind of a mirror almost of the other.
But they put it at the end, so you have to play through hell to get the terminal. See? So, while we're here as well, I know there's someone in the comments who's watching this thinking, I wonder if they're going to go see the dead marine. We will. At least I think he spawns on easy as well. I might be wrong there.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's and we'll when we get to him, we'll hang around his body for a bit. Press F to pay respects and talk a little bit more about his story, because it's a pretty good story.
Yeah. There aren't any more floods spawning up here.
Nope.
Oh.
Although I don't, I'm not going to use my own name in vain, but I really don't want to jinx it.
So these I think.
These are Stasis Fields.
These to me that scream stasis to me.
Yeah, they do look. They look like somewhere you could go in and probably not come out of ever again.
Yeah. It stands to reason. Something similar was described in the Forerunner trilogy of books, when Chakos, Ryza, and Born Stellar were on the Didact's ship after they had revived the Didact on Earth, of all places. And yeah, that basically this is exactly what I was just talking about with stasis. They are bubbles of slip space that exist outside of time and space. So in theory, you can't get into them unless they're deactivated, which is why it literally sounds like, if you hit it sounds like a solid barrier, and it just seems to absorb shots.
Yeah. So in terms of gameplay, the reason it sounds like a barrier is purely because if you switch back to classic, it's metal from the looks of it. But again, that was Bungie era. This was made during the 343 era, so we're going to be looking at both. We're going to be looking at the logical reason why it makes that noise, because I know someone will comment it, and the lore reason. Which I know it's in the past we pointed out a couple of things, and people have said, "Oh, that's actually just because of this." I can't think of the example off the top of my head. I think it was on the second episode. But yeah, we are aware of obviously this is just one. It's just a big reskin.
Yeah.
We are aware of that, but we just want to take a look at the lore, because everything in Halo, for the most part, is designed with purpose.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a possibility, because these actually exist outside of time and space, there is a possibility that there is actually entities, species, individuals in there right now, completely unaware that 100,000 years and more has passed since they were indexed.
That would make a good wallpaper, by the way, if we came in here with the blind skull and just stared at this.
Yeah, it would actually, yeah.
That'd be really nice. I'll go and do that later. So just so I can brush up on this, because as I say, I'm not too informed on the history of the Forerunners and quite a lot of aspects of Halo. I know a lot about the gameplay and environments as we play, but I don't know the extended lore. So from my understanding and a limited conversation with a few people, however you pronounce his name, Chakos?
Chakos, yeah.
He is Spark, right?
He's Spark, yeah.
Ancient human that was punished and put into what is essentially a football with a light bulb in it.
He wasn't punished.
I thought it was a punishment.
No. So Chakos was an ancient human, and he had a close friend called Riser, who was actually a member of a species called the Florians, which are basically they exist in our own fossil record, Homo sapien florensis.
Do we have a picture of them, by the way? That we could
I can put them up. Yeah,
that'd be great.
And they are basically ancient humans, devolved ancient humans. This is after the Foreigners devolved humanity for our war against them. And the Born Stellar Makes Eternal Lasting was a Forerunner who was sort of shunned by his family because he wanted to explore the galaxy for precursor relics when he was supposed to be part of the Builder Rate, and existing outside of your societal calling, so to speak, in Forerunner society was unacceptable. He was left on Mars, actually, with a minor family in order to learn, well, respect, diligence, and a duty, basically duty to his rate. But he was given an ancillar personal assistant, effectively, that had tendencies to want to encourage him to explore him. It was actually given to him, unbeknownst to him, by the librarian, with the thought in mind that eventually he would find his way to Earth, he would find Chakas and Riser, and all three of them would be required in order to awaken her husband after his 1,000-year exile, after losing his fight with in the Ecumene Council of trying to stop the Halos from being built. So
right, okay.
So once they had awakened the Didact, they were effectively kidnapped by the Didact, and went on sort of a huge journey across the galaxy with the Didact, and Born Stellar was given a brevet mutation which turned him into the ISO Didact, so like basically a copy of the original Didact. And basically, as time went on, Chakas, Riser, and Born Stellar became friends. If you fast forward the time a bit, because I don't want to drone on about it for too long, but if you fast forward the time a little bit, it gets to a point where basically the Didact has gone insane. He's been put into his cryptum, and Mendicant Bias, who is now helping the Flood, has been caught at least the first time, and dismantled and punished for his crimes. But in the process of this conflict, Chakas became severely injured, and so as a way to save his friend, Born Stellar composed Chakas and put him inside of the body of, or the carapace rather, of a monitor, who he then designated 343 Guilty Spark. And even compartmentalized aspects of his own memory of his previous life as an ancient human, so that he could more adequately serve his purpose as being a monitor of Installation 04. So it was never a punishment, it was actually to save his friend, to prevent him from dying needlessly.
Okay. So again,
a really long way around saying it, but yeah.
Well, no, it's good. I like to say that you know your audience loves hearing you talk about Halo, so that's a nice little treat for them. And it's also good for the audience who doesn't know stuff like that, such as myself. I can't imagine I'm the only one, so
yeah.
So that's pretty good. And the Didact, the one who went insane, that's the one that's put in the cryptum for Halo 4, right? And he's the main baddie in 4.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, there's nothing of interest over there.
Those sentinels quite literally came out of the ceiling.
Huh. Here we go. So he's talking about combat skins here.
Yeah.
So, again, harkening back to episode 2, where we talked about the fact that humans were sort of Forerunner originally, like humans.
Yeah.
That was the Foreigners were ancient humans, sorry.
Yeah, that was the intended narrative that Bungie were kind of sowing the seeds of, yeah.
Just jump right in front of the pistol.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's fine. We're on easy, it's cool. So yeah, I mean that... Okay, so while I understand that we're looking at the current lore for that, a lot of the dialogue in this game is written with that intention as well. which is always worth reminding people of, because while the environment has been redesigned to suit current lore, the dialogue has not changed from the original thing, so they're trying to fit both in.
Yeah.
I can hear something sinister. It's up there. Here we go. Oh, here's the lift.
Well, hey.
Okay. And this is that nice design you like.
Yeah. So the monitor speaks then about Chief's armor being only a class 2. And it's difficult to substantiate what is meant by that, and saying that that you need a minimum of rating class 10 for dealing with a flood.
I mean, look how much of a badass Master Chief is, by the way, and his armor. Imagine what a class 10 is like.
Exactly. So if it's literally on if it's sequential, then that suggests that it's literally just like a kind of a strength rating. In which case, it's hard to decipher whether or not a class 10 is simply 5 times more powerful than the class 2, or whether it's 8 times more powerful than a class 2, because it could be sequential, it could be on scales of amplitude, it could be factors, so to speak, of strength. And it's also hard to substantiate whether it means the physical output power of the suit, or whether it means the environment systems of the suit, or whether it just means its protection factor. It's really hard to substantiate because obviously we're given no additional information.
Right. So, which just immediately made me think. So the Erdact in Halo 4, his armor covers less of his skin. It's not as the coverage on the body isn't as substantial as it's like the Mayana platform. So what rating would his be? Do we know?
He's wearing he's actually wearing effectively a kind of a bodysuit as well.
Right.
And then his armor effectively affixes atop the bodysuit. But I would fathom to guess, because he's a Promethean. If I'm guessing there's no more lore on it because I have not come across it, but I'm guessing he would have the highest possible attainable level of armor, in which case his would be a class 10. But it's also, the way it's designed is very ostentatious. It's somewhat over designed. It's very flashy, so to speak.
Yeah,
when
it's
in
very
reality,
Tron.
When in reality, actually, warrior servants did tend to have more of a conservative design. So I'm guessing the ostentatious kind of design is as a consequence of his ego sort of getting out of control, as a consequence of his madness.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Or either that, or it's literally just personal preference, because it would appear that the Prometheans in particular could customize various facilities, various systems, various weapons. It's clever stuff.
So an environment thing I've just noticed is the changing color from blue as an overtone to now orange. Although you could argue it's just a very light shade of red.
Yeah.
And just ambient lighting. So, why do you reckon that is? I'm thinking it could be, it's clearly orange, but I'm thinking it's fairly close to red. Yeah, the blue, even up there it's orange, up on the top. Like, top of the strut here.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what I noticed first before I realized everything was orange.
Yeah.
There's health kits there for anyone playing on Legendary.
I would guess that the orange theme is foreshadowing of things getting more problematic with the flood. The infection rate is becoming higher. Yeah,
like it's sort of like the ambience. The ambience sort of adds to stress, with blue being a more calming color than red. Red often being linked with anxiety, not anxiety, projecting. Being more linked with anger. Like, think of like bulls who are. They run a red flag, which by the way is a myth. They can't see the color red. But sort of in that sense, which is why I'm going to go into not so much lore, but it's also the reason why social media is always blue. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter are all blue because it's more calming.
Yeah.
Whereas red is a more sort of aggressive look. Which means you can tell a lot by a Halo Reach about a Halo Reach player based on their colours. If they're black and red, they're generally angry people.
Mm.
And if they are blue and sort of white, they are calmer people, typically. Which is... That's not true, that's complete bullshit, but... I made that up on the spot, and it kind of works, actually. I can't think of the last time I got a hate message from someone in blue armor.
Fair enough.
I can't think of the last time I got a message from anyone in armor, to be honest, but yeah. So we've still got a couple floors more before we get to the 10 mil.
But there is a... For anyone who didn't know, you can actually go around here.
Yeah, let's do that, actually.
I mean, you basically skip the slog through the corridors to the right here.
But I think the door at the end you have to hold out, which means all this slog will come towards you.
So yeah, it's basically just picking your battles.
Yeah. If you don't have much in the way of ammo, kill a few guys, come this way, and then slog it out over this way. And here comes Spark.
Yep. So also, just quickly going back to Forerunner armor systems. They're
1 minute, I want to see if that lands. Oh, what a throw!
Oh, hit. The Forerunner armor systems actually adapt to the weapons being used against them. So
that's cool.
They're intelligent enough that if you use a weapon against a Forerunner, their armor will adapt and attenuate to your weapons, meaning that they become less effective over time.
I don't remember where I heard that, but I feel like I knew that. I can't remember where that was detailed, but I have heard that somewhere before. It might be in a story.
I believe it was covered briefly. I think Exuberant Witness covered it briefly in Halo 5.
That might be it, yeah. I've been playing Halo 5 a lot recently.
At least I think that's where I recall.
Okay.
Where I record her saying it.
We need to go that way.
But it
I'm
has
fucking
been
doing
said.
that, though.
Mm.
So go on.
It has been said elsewhere, I'm sure of it.
What was that drink of? I had a plastic bottle cap there. That's abnormal.
No, that wasn't a plastic bottle. That was the sound of me putting my cider can back down on the side.
Oh, okay.
Back to Copperberg today.
Back to Copperberg, are we?
Yeah.
I'm having that monster I mentioned yesterday.
2
days. Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, last week. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to get ahead of the game. Okay, so we came in here. Okay, so yeah, we're going this way. I don't usually get turned around on this game. And really, I probably could just follow the arrows, but... So, let's talk a little bit more about the Flood while we're here then, since they are obviously the main enemies of this game. Where would you like to start? Should we cover a sort of slightly semi-brief history of the Flood for dummies?
Yeah, can do.
And just move through that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so to get an idea of what the Flood are, we need to quickly go back a little bit further in time. So humans... Alright, there's a problem because it diverges in lore.
Let's go with current lore.
But let's go with current lore, yeah. So once upon a time...
yeah. Once upon a time, there was a big bang.
The precursors came to our galaxy from another galaxy. The precursors are a ridiculously powerful and wise race, and they actually created both humanity and the Forerunners. They also created a load of other life in the galaxy. But their two most successful children, so to speak, were humanity and the Forerunners. Approximately, I think it was about 15 million years ago, we were seeded by the precursors, and when the precursors were the holders of the mantle, they were the protectors of the galaxy, basically, and their goal in coming to our galaxy and seeding life was in order to create a species that were going to become powerful enough and wise enough to continue the stewardship of the galaxy, to take over the mantle of responsibility. The Foreigners were meant, or at least to their eyes, they were meant to be the inheritors of the mantle of responsibility. However, they were found wanting, and the Precursors instead decided to test and pass it to humanity. As a consequence, the Foreigners grew resentful and started a genocide against the Precursors, and hunted them to near extinction. However, I don't believe that they did this. I don't believe that they did this to those truest ends. I think in a degree of measure, the Precursors actually allowed them to do it, because they're a tier 0 civilization on the Foreigner's scale of technological advancement, which means they are gods by definition. So they hunted the Precursors to extinction, and the last Precursors that were alive decided to try to escape from the Foreigners hunting them by basically dissolving themselves back down into a powder, because at that stage of their advancement, they could basically choose their form, choose their sophistication, choose everything about themselves. They had ultimate control over their species, to the point that they could at will change their very biology. So they decided to dissolve themselves down to a powder that remained... He's got a rocket. Jesus.
No, I don't think Jesus had a rocket launcher.
That remained... the powder remained undisturbed for eons, basically. Until ancient humans came across the powder. This is at some point after... at some point after the Precursors had finally been hunted to extinction. And they came across this powder and found it to exhibit interesting biological properties, and actually fed them to their pets, which actually gave the pets desirable attributes, like it made them more docile, made some of them grow fur and things like that, made them more pet-like, basically. However, after generation and generation and generation of its use, the pets began to exhibit more unpleasant characteristics. They started to grow tentacles and odd cancerous growth. Some of them became aggressive, some of them exhibited cannibalism, and then at some point this transitioned over and started to infect the humans as well. That was basically the birth of the Flood. So the Flood are, by extension, a corrupted form of Precursor.
Okay.
Basically, the biological powder become corrupted over time, and as a consequence, the Precursors were somewhat reincarnated, but as the Flood.
And then via evolution,
turned into
what we're fighting right now.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so do we know anything about how the Gravemind came to be then?
So
why all of a sudden was it a hive mind?
So the first Gravemind, or arguably the last Precursor, was called the Primordial, and it was basically the corpses of several Precursors kind of formed together with Flood biomass into a rather grotesque form that referred to itself as the last Precursor, the Primordial. And it was basically because the Precursors are transcendent and they can change their physicality and their biology at will, the normal laws of kind of consciousness and things like that don't really apply to the Precursors. Their consciousness is almost transcendent. So just because their form can devolve doesn't mean their consciousness doesn't. Just doesn't mean their consciousness does, rather. So
right, okay.
The first Gravemind, effectively, the last Precursor, was basically an semblance of corpses of Precursors that was kind of stitched together, so to speak, with corrupted Precursor biomass, which was basically the birth of the first Gravemind. And because that form worked so well, and because consciousness is shared by the Precursors, and thus by the Flood, the next iteration of the Gravemind that would come about would be the Gravemind that was around when the Foreigner Flood War was at its peak. And because once that one was destroyed by the firing of the Halo, the biomass forms together again, and there's still flood presence in the galaxy. It got to a point where the flood biomass has formed together again, and because again the consciousness is shared, the grave mind is born once more. It's almost like an endless reincarnation.
Right.
So grave minds are actually simply an assemblance of corpses of a certain.
I tried to pinch the arm off. I tried to pinch the arm off the other day. I'm so sorry, man.
That's all right.
I think
Yes.
I didn't take your armor. Sorry.
So precursors, grave minds rather, are basically an assemblance of, of corpses. Once the biomass reaches a certain level and there's enough biomass there, the consciousness almost naturally reignites as the grave mind.
I brought you a gift.
Ooh.
I'm gonna run before you point that at me. So now that we're caught up with the grave mind, let's talk about this specific, how the flood in this case worked then. So currently there's no grave mind.
Yeah,
so from my understanding, if it's okay to sort of take a guess at how currently the flood are working in CE, there's no grave mind. So by just sheer nature, or lack thereof, the flood are attempting to get enough biomass to form a proto-grave mind, which, spoilers, you may or may not see next mission. And essentially what they're trying to do is get enough biomass together to form a proto-grave mind to eventually make a full grave mind and to consume again. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically.
Sweet.
So at the moment they're in what's called their feral stage. And this is basically the largest form that the flood can make independently of anything else, of any hosts, is the infection form. They can make nothing larger, and it takes a lot of energy on their own. If there's no hosts involved, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of resources to create an infection form. However, once an infection form is created and it infects a host, it propagates at an exponential rate, and it becomes quote-unquote cheaper and less resource hungry to create more and more infection forms.
Okay, that makes sense. Also, a small note I just want to point out real quick. As we've been going up the levels, the amount of these weird circles below the library thing has gone up by 2. So we started on 10, last one was 12, this one's got 14 circles underneath it. I just noticed that earlier. But I also didn't want to interrupt you.
That's fine.
But
interesting.
So yeah, that's obviously the definition of like a plague. Obviously, it duplicates cells, which is when a human or any being is infected by a scratch, it's because at a minimum 1 cell got on there, and now there's 2 cells, now there's 4, now there's 8, now there's 16, now there's so on and so forth, and that's why in episode 3, in Halo 3, the shipmaster says 1 single flood spore can destroy a species, because 1 flood spore turns into 2, and 2 turn into 4, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, basically.
I think I've got this Halo thing down.
I'm stood on the top of a sentinel and he's not
I was
moving.
wondering why your arrow was up there. I want to go. Oh, I'm going to climb up. Yeah. So now I understand that. So let's talk about the creepy stuff, which is more flood stuff. I have ascended. No, you put that rocket launcher away, mister. Oh, shit. But yeah, so let's talk about like the creepy stuff with the flood and how the infection works and what it can do to the human body. Or to a body. Anything sentient, really, that's got enough biomass.
Yeah, so effectively it's, in its simplest form, or the easiest way to explain it, is they are a cancer. They're somewhere between a cancer and the cordyceps fungus.
Don't put a picture in of that, because that's creepy as shit.
Yeah, it is. But basically,
if you're interested, Google it. But we're not putting it in.
Basically, the flood have a few different methods of infection, but really, what it boils down to the same event. The speed changes. That's all, really. The speed and violence of the transformation varies, but basically, once a host becomes infected, the cells of their body rapidly begin to mutate to a flood to a flood supercell, which create more supercells, which create more supercells. It then basically begins to use the host's own cellular makeup and genetics to propagate its own biomatter to the point where it overtakes organs, the central nervous system, and practically every other aspect of the body until the individual is kind of a large cancerous twisted form, while simultaneously mounting an assault against the central nervous system, stealing control of the body away from the host, to the point that the host is either rendered unconscious and unable to resist the flood, dead, or in the worst case, they're still fully aware of what's going on around them.
A warning would have been really nice there, by the way.
Sorry.
It's okay. So it was good. But so again, we touched on it last episode, and I think I believe we went through the character's full story. But terminal's over there, by the way. You can see it glowing in the distance.
Yeah.
We'll come back this way as well, because I think the Marine's body's on this level, right?
I think so.
Main man Marvin. But I believe we touched on it last episode, or talked about it fully. I don't remember. It was a whole week ago. Wink, wink. We talked about Wallace Jenkins. Wallace A. Jenkins. The A stands for
Yeah.
yeah, it stands for agonizing. So we talked about Wallace A. Jenkins, and we talked about how the infection form that attacked him was so old that it couldn't function properly and was incapable of fully killing him. So at certain points, he was alive for the whole thing, conscious.
Yeah.
But at certain points, he was able to regain control over his body, and every time he did, he tried to kill himself, which is very morbid. But I mean, in this case, you would really.
Well, yeah.
And I believe every time he got close, the infection form would regain control over the body.
Yeah, and managed to stop him from doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
But,
so we activate this terminal and splice it in a minute, by the way.
What?
We'll activate this terminal and then splice it in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the infection, you got to understand. So the pain that Jenkins was experiencing was unparalleled. Basically, every cell of his body would have been mutated. His organs wouldn't have been functioning as organs anymore because they would have been flood biomass. He would effectively have been experiencing his entire body being mutated, feeling cancerous growths, blisters, his skin tearing open. He would have felt bones being broken, the growth of tentacles from his wrist, the general decay of his body, because the flood's got no interest in keeping the body completely healthy and stopping the natural processes of decay. It's got no interest whatsoever because it doesn't serve its purposes. So he would have basically experienced his entire body dying around him, all of his central nervous system basically on fire because it's being attacked by basically a foreign intelligence. The agony that he would have been in would have been absolutely unparalleled, while simultaneously having his memories sifted through by the very infection form that's living within his chest, trying to find useful information to feed back into the compound intelligence of the flood to further their ideals. So I absolutely and utterly understand the want to try to end his own life every time he got control back, because it's horrific.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this last episode. Stubbing your toe is painful. Like, that's like a really, sort of painful experience, even if it's just for a second. Now, if anyone who's broken a bone, it's also horrible. But imagine being alive with every bone broken. And not only that, but the willpower that man had to regain control of his body, and not only regain control, but move through the agonizing pain. It was that bad that he was willing to go through all of that pain to end it, or to attempt to end it. Which, it's a very morbid thought, really.
Yeah, and it's something that I think is... I think it's necessary, almost, to get across how terrifying the Flood are, and it's decided that the dark morbidity of it is kind of needed, almost, in Halo. At least in my own humble opinion. I believe that Halo was originally conceived as an an M for mature kind of rating game, and over time it seems to be losing that identity and resorting to more of a like a PG friendly kind of level of content. But I think Halo needs it. It needs a bit of depth and a bit of darkness about it.
For sure. I mean, it also separates itself from everything else. Again, it's something I'm echoing what I said last episode, but the Flood aren't, they're space zombies, but they're not the space zombies you're used to. It's a touch of 28 days later infected, where it's not so much they bite you and you become one. It's more so a case of, complete scientific but also borderline plausible horror that performs atrocities. Like when you become a zombie, you're a zombie. You're dead. You don't know any different because you're dead. But in this case, you're aware, especially specifically in Wallace Jenkins' case, you are very much aware of what's happening, and I think that's probably the most horrifying thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Like that's ever been sort of. I've yet to find something that is more horrific in terms of any piece of media that horrifies me in the way that his story does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's particularly unpleasant because it's in most circumstances the suffering ends when you die, and with the Flood you don't die.
Exactly.
So that's it's kind of messed up. I mean, there's even like some theories. It's not been confirmed by any official means, but there is even some theories that go further that the consciousness of the being, once the physical form no longer serves any purpose, it's not like the Flood decide, okay, well now this combat form's no longer any use to us, we'll convert it to a carrier form, and then when that carrier form blows up, that's just the end of that person. There's a theory that suggests that the consciousness itself of the person actually gets absorbed by the Flood, which means when their physical body dies, they don't. Which means they continue to live that agony for
eternity.
Eternity, yeah. It is quite literally hell.
It's a good theory as well.
Yeah,
that makes
they're
sense.
forced to experience the horror of the Flood for all of eternity, because again, as I just said about the way in which the Flood came to be and the properties they share with the precursors, their consciousness is transcendent. It doesn't die when they die, which is why the Gravemind identifies as being the same Gravemind that was both around at the very start when the precursor, or primordial rather, was first formed, the same Gravemind that was around at the Forerunner Flood War, and the same Gravemind around now in the Halo universe. It identifies as the same being because, quite simply, it is. It's the same composition of minds, which is horrific, absolutely horrific. It means you never have an escape. If you're infected by the Flood, you're literally condemned to hell.
That's terrifying. Let's we shall move forward, because I think we have another floor to fight through, and an excellent story about one kick-ass Marine.
Yeah.
Let's
just lighten the mood with this terminal.
Alone. Am I the only intelligence left? Waiting here on this ring for a rebirth never truly conceived. Guarding a weapon with no targets. A weapon I could tune to any target. This is not what I had in mind when I volunteered. Not what I had in mind at all. I was naive to think I understood what this installation meant. We were all so naive. Looking back, we should have done a few things differently. For one thing, we should have installed 2 caretakers per installation. Because I am alone, I'm losing focus. And that is very, very dangerous for a system such as myself. Perhaps a visit to the nearby gas giant is in order. My impulse drives could certainly make the journey. A few hundred years of travel might do me some good. There it was again. How very unproductive of me. It seems strange that the librarian did not account for this. Her strength was always in planning and positioning the pieces and then being bold enough to let it happen. To let her plans come true. I was a part of many of those plans long before I knew for certain that she was real. Before any of us were. But at the end, we had only a fragment of her brilliance left to us. And I fear that she did not fully appreciate the nature of my situation here. The problems it might pose. But even a fragment of... Fragment, yes. Oh dear, here it comes again.
Okay, I'll splice that in a minute.
Cool. So, hope you enjoyed that terminal. So yeah, we're back. Let's go back the other way actually. Let's fight through this.
Go on then.
Gives us a little bit more. I think there's a fight coming up, but we'll go back to normal way just in case. So yeah, like I say, the flood. The flood for me. Oh my lord! Again, I didn't know what happened. My audio's a little bit delayed, so that's pretty good though. And I got a plasma pistol out of it. I'm gonna get my guns back.
I'll be honest with you, I didn't intend to squeeze the trigger. I was kind of pretending to do it on this end, but I accidentally squeezed a bit too hard.
I like how you were pretending to do it, but like no one's gonna see that.
I was pretending, and obviously the trigger is really sensitive, so I must have just touched it a little bit too firmly, and yeah, it flew, which is...
Yeah.
Sorry.
And away you go.
You flew really good, though.
For a brick.
For a brick, he flew pretty good.
That's brilliant. I love that scene, but we can talk about that when we get there. But so yeah, definitely the most terrifying species, like ever. Like, I can't think of anything I've been more scared of since like probably the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And that was only because they were jump scary. Like they weren't even scary. But yeah, so with that in mind, the flood. Why? Obviously, they're not completely wiped out from the galaxy. They die, but like they don't disappear, right?
Yeah.
So why have we not seen them in 4 and 5? Do you believe?
Oops.
That's absolutely fine. Don't worry.
That was the wrong cable. I've just plugged in the wrong cable.
That's fine. I'll fix it in post. Something just shot at me then. Oh, he's there. What are you doing? This is the quiet time where Installation leaves me because he's going to lose his sanity if he has to play any more missions with me. But he comes back nice and composed.
No, that's the wrong... What is going on here? Oh, that's why I've got it plugged in there. Oh, idiot. Okay, hang on. I need batteries. My controller batteries are low.
I will keep you covered from quite literally the nons of enemies that are coming towards us. Oh, what did you think of the Halo Reach Gauntlet, by the way?
Yeah, really cool.
I don't
really
know
cool.
what generation of armor that is. I just know it's based off SPI, right? Or it's similar to SPI.
What the suit that Carter wears?
The suit that all Spartan 3s were in Reach. Because it's just that it's the default gauntlet. I've not put the attachment on yet. That's printing right now.
Yeah. So the armor that they're wearing in the game Reach is a permutation of Mjolnir. SPI armor is a different armor set altogether that's not as powerful as Mjolnir.
It's semi-powered.
It's quite literally in the name, semi-powered infiltration. Yeah, right. I've got more batteries. We're good.
Okay. But I'm hoping to make that into a full costume, and all the attachable parts that you can customize in game, I'm gonna attach with Velcro or screws or something that will allow you to customize it on the fly.
Very good.
Which will be really cool. I'm probably gonna make a cast out of this one though. I don't think I'll paint this one up.
Very nice.
Very nice. I don't have that kind of voice behind me. You did better. So,
Well, if 343 Industries want to cast me as a new Spartan, I wouldn't mind.
dude, you definitely could fit the bill there, I believe.
Boing.
Be you can cut this out. Cut this audio out because obviously, I'm gonna use your actual name for a joke here, but
Okay.
be Spartan Martin. There you go. You can cut that out. Obviously, you have your secret identity.
You want to know my secret identity?
That guy creeped me out. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more tedious levels in the game, for sure. I went through this on Legendary a couple weeks back with a friend of mine. The one I mentioned in last week's episode, Bob Ross, went through it with him. He's got a great little clip of him. I died, and then he's running along this corridor. He stops and turns around and gets taken out by a flood going at like Mach 3. It's such a good clip. It's honestly... would you be okay to put that in? If not, that's absolutely fine. But it's honestly, it's a funky little clip. It's so good. But yeah, it was honestly one of the funniest things I've seen. I think I titled the video "Slapped Lamau." Okay, so where's Marvin's corpse? I don't know where it spawns. It's fairly close to the end.
Yeah.
We've got one more lift to take at least. Right? Mine.
I think so, yeah. Yeah,
Bibs.
one more lift to take. But yeah, he is. I think he's close. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's at the end, and we'll talk about that. If you want, at some point, by the way, what we could do is we could pause and get the actual quote from the chief from the book, because it's in the flood, right?
Yeah.
So we could get that, and you could just read that out, or we could just put it on screen.
Get Steve Downs to voice it.
Could do. Cost you a bit of money. But yeah, I'd quite like to hear. At some point when I'm rich and famous, I'd quite like to get Steve Downs and just pay him like a shit ton of money and just get him to record his lines for the flood. I'm really enjoying the book so far. So, in case you hadn't clicked onto the fact, guys, we recorded last week's episode 2 days ago. And since then,
I think we've kept it really, on the download, to be honest.
yeah, I don't think they've noticed. But since then, I've read a certain section of the book for research and started to read the actual beginning, and it's been one of the coolest books I've read for a long time. So, I'm sure people aren't really that bothered about my opinion on the flood, but you're getting it anyway. So, oh, is that the? There's a glitched wall on this level somewhere. I'd quite like to look at that, because you can see all of the floors that you came up when you walk through it. It's really weird. You may have gone past it already. I'm pretty sure it's on the third floor.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we must have gone past it because it's the lift. Or they've patched it out. There's a little burp there. Sorry.
That's fine.
But yeah, we're at the elevator. Shall we go up the elevator? Let's take the elevator. You might want to jump on.
Oh,
Oh, that was close. Good save. So this elevator ride. This this elevator ride reminds me of the one from Halo 2. It's a really tedious one, where you play as the Arbiter and it keeps rotating and just doing anything you don't want it to do. Okay, so on the wall here we should have 4, 8, 10, 14, 15 this time. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Yeah, okay, so there's only 15 now. Maybe we've only gone up half a floor. Who knows? But yeah,
the library makes no sense. It's purposefully devised to confuse you.
do you not think it slightly represents the Guardian? This, the way they've done the glyphs on the wall here? Or the decals?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'm pretty sure it's not intentional, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and lock that in 100% canon. It's definitely intentional for realsies. You okay there?
Yep. Wind.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's that noise? Sounds like he's dying. Now, we have to go down, right? But you can actually just grenade jump through there. If you're good with grenades. Got a fairly good arm, but run easy. So I'll probably die from my own grenade.
You could just do it here. To be fair, you might be able to get on my head.
Yeah, I'll take a peek, but we're definitely going back the normal way.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, let's just go through tunnels. You can't go through there. Because we only come back out there and then we've got to wait anyway, so. I'm scared for the reason you've let me go first. Oh, okay, never mind, I see why.
Pew.
Pew.
Pew. Pew.
Let's see, we've talked about... okay, so we're at like an hour or 3, so we can probably just cut out like this little section here, I'd imagine. Just because we've talked about all the topics I've got listed, really. And we just cut to when we get to Marvin.
It's assuming we've not missed him.
Yeah, I mean, surely he's got to be here, right?
I'm pretty sure he's really close to...
Yeah, because he got real close, right? Like, really close. Blammo. Man, every time I use the shotgun in Halo, it makes me think of Sarge from Red vs. Blue. I just can't... I can't unhear it.
No, we go in line. It goes you, then me, then Simmons, then back down to me, then you, then me, then me.
That's a... Man, Red vs. Blue is really good.
Then Simmons,
I
then
watched
me,
it for a
then
while,
me, then
but...
Simmons, me, Simmons, you, Simmons, me, Simmons, you. Me. And then me again. Red versus Blue back in the day was awesome. My opinion has been soured a little bit as of late, but
yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the more recent stuff. I really like the Chorus trilogy.
It's not so much like a fan of the content. It's just the way it's being run. I think is not in the spirit of what it once was.
Yeah. Even the characters are changing, but not like in a character arc way, like in a sort of... Oh, here it is. Here's the glitch wall. Found it. This is a really cool wall. So, observe as I walk through the wall. You're walking into a pillar. You can see the entire map below you.
Very
which
weird.
Is awesome.
You can see the door coming towards you.
Oh, yeah. That's terrifying.
See, it's because in the original... Yeah, in the original graphics, there isn't a wall here.
It's a little ammo cache.
It's a little alcove, yeah. Oops, saved a screenshot.
Okay, so Marvin's got to be around here somewhere, right?
I think so, yeah.
He did so well to get this far. I wish... Maybe he's down this way. Like, what the hell's over here? Okay. Nothing. What the hell?
What?
Oh, there's just a invisible collision thing, like when I'm here. But it's like one way. It's really weird. Yeah, it's weird. Look at this. I'm going to try and shoot you from over here. And I won't be able to watch.
Yeah.
But it's there in Classic as well. Huh. Okay. Splice back in. Is that Peter Griffin?
Yeah.
So he must have got real close, because the mission trigger ends is the... I mean, failing that, we could always backtrack and get footage that way.
Yeah.
So let's kill these guys off. Let's not go to the middle.
No. But I'm pretty sure he's nearby.
Yeah, I'm going to search this way. Marvin. Marvin. I'm like that guy in Red Dead 2, if you've played that. Have you seen my friend Gavin? Okay, so it's kind of weird seeing this place so empty. I don't know how I feel about it, actually. It's kind of definitely eerie. So how far around can we loop?
I don't know.
Because it's closed off on the other side when we came out. Oh, it's here. Found the wall. The wall. Oh, there's a skull here. Okay. There you go.
Sweet.
There you go. Eye patch. Okay, so Marvin's not here.
It might be that he doesn't spawn in. Let me have a look.
Movie magic. What I'd like to do, by the way, if it's cool, is at the end of the series, just do like sort of like a highlights, like at the end of each game.
Yeah.
It's like sort of like a gameplay highlights, you know, just like not so much topics because that would just be the entirety of the thing. It's a very there you go, achievement guide. It's a very sort of dedicated series to a set task, but it's just get gameplay stuff such as me dying repeatedly, or you killing me repeatedly. Okay, I'm not going to run into the mission trigger. I can hear your pistol shots from over here. Oh, it's not you. That's just a flood shooting at me.
Yeah.
The nerve of it.
Right, so it doesn't say where he spawns. Halo.
I'll give it a quick Google as well.
Right, so I'm pretty sure it.
Maybe he doesn't actually spawn in. I don't think he's actually findable, right? No, it says his first appearance is in Halo the Flood.
Oh, so maybe it doesn't actually physically spawn into the game then.
I could have sworn he does though.
That's what I thought.
Maybe that's like a Mandela effect.
Mandela
There's
effect,
definitely
yeah.
no one here. It also says he died. Oh no, never mind. That's just a weird bit of whatever. It just says he died within sight of the index, which means that if he was going to be here, he would be here. Like he wouldn't be anywhere else.
I do remember him. I do remember the body of a Marine being literally probably where I am, roughly, as far like obviously around the other side because this isn't the side that you normally access the index because Spark is over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the body being like here or something.
Mandela investigation finding Marvin Mobuto on Reddit.
Yeah. Kind of want to just peek near the edge, like near the where it would go to the cutscene, just in case. If I can't see, oh, hang on.
Crappy. Oh, you're all over there. Fucking hell, you move fast, don't you? That's a dead one I just shot earlier. Is it? Yeah, it is. Maybe he doesn't actually spawn in. Maybe it's just a... Okay, so let's talk about him anyway. We're here now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
it's worth it. It happens here, so...
Yeah, so so Marvin Mobuto, or Staff Sergeant Mobuto, he was involved with the fall of Reach, and he was on the Pillar of Autumn when it arrived in Station 04. And he was found by 343 Guilty Spark as a reclaimer, and was brought to the library ahead of Master Chief, ahead of 343 finding Master Chief, in order to reclaim the index and activate the ring. However, he died literally within visual range of the index. And when Chief, at least in the book, came across his body, he identified him via his dog tags and paid his respects to him, basically because he was stunned that a Marine in just his Marine battle armor was able to get as far into the library as he did when the chief, wearing his Mjolnir powered assault armor and with all of his augmentations and all of his training, was near the edge of his limit at the point that he found Marvin's body. And finding his body gave him the morale boost he needed to push that last bit to the actual index. And I think Chief even said something along the lines of, "I'm really sorry I didn't know you in life, Sarge, but it seems to me you're like a pretty a hell of a badass," or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's something like I didn't know you, but I sure as hell wish I did. You must have been one tough son of a bitch, or something of that ilk. I'm remembering. I can hear that. What's Spark doing? You okay, buddy? You alright?
Are you reproducing with a flood form?
Wait, I've got this. Watch.
He even looked like he shook his head then.
What is it? Yeah, they probably did. But yeah, it's crazy. So we've been here for the past. Let me check my timestamps on here. We've been here for the past about 7 minutes. Just that's a 7 reference way. Yeah, been just looking around for Marvin's body because it's within visual range of the index. And I'm not sure if it's the Mandela effect or if there's actually a body somewhere around. Maybe it's not on this floor. Maybe it doesn't spawn on easy. I don't know. But if anyone who knows any better in the comments, could you let us know where that is? Just out of curiosity, I just want to see it my see it myself. It'd be nice to see that. Well, not nice, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Apparently there's dead Marines in the service tunnels, according to a comment on Reddit, but that's Reddit. Do we trust that? Also, what counts as service tunnel? Oh, I know what he means, yeah. There were service tunnels sort of like where we drop down and go underneath the flooring.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that's probably what he means. Right. Let's end the level.
Shall we?
We shall.
Do you want to see if we can end it from the other side?
Yes. Just out of curiosity. Ratio.
Well, you're going to win. I failed that massively.
Yeah, but I've got more to jump than you. You could have gone around that. Oh, it bugged it. There we go. I've got input delay by maybe half a second. So I'm jumping and then I've just got to crouch. I'm doing it based off muscle memory now. Oh, it's close. Look at this. Oh, who's going to win? It's me. It's me. I win. I am the Halo man.
Oh, so we haven't actually gone through the trigger point. So.
Oh.
Okay. It's my controller.
I've got hold of mine. I've learned from my mistakes. I also bought a mouse pad as well, like a desk size mouse pad, so it won't shake as much. Yeah, that's going now, and you can't even hear it. Although it's eerily creeping closer towards the edge of the desk. Ooh, I've just had an idea.
Do you want to 3D print an index?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So
it's massive though, so I'm gonna have to do it in 2 parts. It's gonna have to be
it is a pretty big
hollow,
thing,
so I can put green LEDs in there.
Yeah, I want to do the same, but I want to obviously better I want to print it, cast it, and then make a few of them, and then maybe sell a couple if people are interested.
That'd be good. So should we end the game and then just say our thank yous, and then
yes.
You get time for one more, or do you want to call it a night there?
I do have to get off. I've got a couple of bits I need to do.
Sweet, no problem.
So yes, that was the library. There's some rather deep lore to get your head sort of immersed in there. But yeah, join us next time when we jump into
The
well,
two betrayals.
basically the assault on the control room in reverse.
Yeah. Think of everything we did 2 episodes ago and do it backwards. Yeah. Alright, thanks for tuning, guys.
Take care.